Hello. Do you remember how last time I talked about, well, I did my deep dive into my collection point and how it organised my ideas as a chaos gremlin who has too many ideas and tries not to work on more than 4 things at once, even though I'm working on, 14 or some such similar number thing at once. Although if you really think about it, it's only like 5 or 6 projects, because if you count the IPA books as just one project, and if you count the Claretbury books as just one project, then really it's only like 7. And that's only 7 if you include this new thing that I've accidentally pitched myself into. If you haven't been here before and you have no idea what I'm talking about, hi. I'm Will and I write books. These are some of mine. Well, these are all of my ones that I have right now as of filming this. I don't know when you're watching this. It could be in 2 years' time. But all the links you need to find my books and me and more information about that is in the description box below. If you haven't been here before, or even if you have and you're there like, finally I will actually do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna read one of Will's books. Anyway, the point is that I scuppered myself completely by accident, because what I did was I picked a random pitch, medium random pitch from my collection point. And if you want to know more about collection point, please watch that video because I'm not going to go back over it. I picked a medium random pitch from that to explain how I do pitching. And unfortunately for me personally and no one else, I therefore got myself excited about that particular project. So the project in question is Monster House. And what's difficult about Monster House is part of the reason that I didn't start writing it in the first place is because I didn't really want to tell it as a novel. So as you can see by the shelves behind me, probably, I write books, right? I have short novels, I have regular length novels. Novels is what I do. I do novels. Fiction, fantasy and sci-fi ones. And I don't plan. I also write short stories every single week over on liquidals.wordpress.com that you can read for free, although this is April, so I'm still doing Wumpril, which is a story every single day as long as I can keep up with them, which, to be fair, might not be a guarantee because today is Thursday and I don't have one. But I might have one by the end of the day. I'm hoping to get that done also, as well as this YouTube video. But anyway, Monster House. The thing with Monster House is it's not, well, it could be a regular novel, right? But it's not. So the thing with Monster House is that if it was a regular novel, it would be very specifically and exclusively a romance novel, right? The whole point of it is that these supernatural creatures, these monsters, are living in this house and being in relationships, right? That's the premise. And the thing about that is that the way that I want to tell it is in sort of like lots of little pieces that fold together into like the beautiful origami of Monster House, as it were. And that's really cool as a concept. But as a practical getting it out into the world, it becomes much more of a question because I don't know how to do that. Because even like if you look at serials and things like that, those still work in like chronological order most of the time. Like you get the occasional flashback, but most of the time you're going from episode 1 into episode 2, and episode 2 usually has something to do with episode 1, right? Usually. And the way that I'm currently writing Monster House is literally just each of the pieces that come to mind are the piece that gets written then and there, right? I'm not doing it in a way that is not even as a cohesive narrative, because again, it does work out by and large as a cohesive narrative, right? But I just basically, like, I'm loving writing this thing and I've no idea how to share it. I have literally zero clue how one would put something like this out into the world unless it was like a webcomic or something, which I can't make because I don't know how to draw and I don't have the energy and persistence to learn how to draw well enough to be able to draw a webcomic like Monster House. So that's not going to happen. but I don't know any which way that one could put out stories in this piecemeal, I guess, way to be able to share Monster House with the world. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I should just like write all of these stories and then find a, like, either put them together in some kind of order and then put them in like a book shaped case, or maybe I should like go on to one of these story subscription services. I don't know which one, I'll figure it out. But like Ream, or like, I mean, I guess Patreon, or like I have a Coffee account already, or, you know, whatever, and share them in whatever order. Not necessarily whatever order they get written. I would want to be like quite far ahead of myself, although to be fair, I've tried that with nopoodles.wordpress.com and it doesn't usually work out well for me. Although again, if you're doing it with something like Ream or whatever, you can do like seasons, I think. So I could do like a season and then I could write ahead of myself for a whole season's worth, and then I could, you know, so on and so forth. But I don't know. And like, it's quite wild because I have this thing where I don't outline. No, that's not the thing. I mean, I don't outline. But the thing is not that I don't outline. I don't outline. And the thing about that is that when I'm writing, a lot of the time what I end up doing is I'll write like from start to finish, or from start to a certain percentage of it done, and then I'll go back and I'll rewrite that bit and I'll get more of it done. And it's sort of like, if I'm just gonna use letters, so it's sort of like I go, oh, A, B, C, and then I'm like, okay, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on and so forth until you get all the way to Z, right? And that's sort of how I write books. No outline, I just keep going over the same bit and getting a little further each time. And I know that that is a very, very controversial way to write a book. A lot of people are going to have very strong opinions about that. But I've got 6 books out. So I think I'm doing okay. And I do genuinely think that they are, by and large, good books. They're not for everyone. No book is for everyone. But I think that they're decent. I think that, not even decent, I think that they're good books, right? Or I wouldn't put them out. If I didn't think that these were high quality, I would not be sharing them with the world. And I get feedback on them and all of that jazz. So it's not like it's just me and my opinion. It is the opinion of, you know, trusted others. And the thing with Monster House is, because these are little like pieces of a puzzle of a story, it's not as simple as just being able to write like that. I can't write A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, and so on and so forth. I have to, not have to, but I find myself not wanting, like, because I'm not writing them in order, I'm writing all of these little pieces as they come to mind, there is this concern from me that I'm going to end up not, like, writing myself into a corner, or not being able to, like, making a promise I can't fulfill, or closing off an option that I later want to open, you know? And like, that is, I don't know, that one's quite difficult to deal with, because I don't like doing that to myself. I have done it to myself before. I did it to myself a little bit with the Guardian Cadet series, and that was awful. No, it's a good book series. Again, it was an awful feeling to have written myself into this particular corner where I wanted to be able to go that way, but that way was closed because of book 1. And I was like, oh no, I have to do a quick turn and go somewhere else. And like, I've had not the same, but a very similar thing with Unlicensed Delivery and its sequel, because it was never intended to have a sequel. But then somebody asked me if I could write a sequel, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I tried, and I did, and it's, again, turned out really nicely. But I did do some of these like closing statements for Unlicensed Delivery that therefore don't hold out, because, well, it was supposed to be for the reader to enjoy and think about, not for me personally, the author, to play with. And like now then I had to be like, okay, how am I going to address this? How am I going to address that? What am I going to do about this? All of these different things. And then there were these areas where I was like, oh, if I hadn't have done this already, I would have been able to do this now. And all of that is just stuff that happens when you're writing books, right? I'm sure this happens to lots of people, even really thorough outliners. I'm sure it happens to people that aren't just me. I'm sure it's not just me. And with the idea of writing Monster House as these pieces, like I have, so the premise as pitched, as far as I remember, because otherwise I have to go digging about in my drawers looking for my collection point. And I didn't do that before the video started. But the premise as I remember it is basically there's this trio of people, they're in a relationship with each other, all three of them, triad, an open triad, living in a house together. They're in a serious relationship to the extent that they live together. Ah, very nice. And basically the premise of the narrative is that they are adding people to the polycule, really. It's the difficulty of being these supernatural creatures, all different and disparate, disconnected as it were, supernatural creatures living in this house together in a relationship with each other, and the difficulties that come with that. And then also going on dates with, or potentially adding people to the polycule, whether they want to move in, whether they don't, whatever, right? And it's just basically being in relationships and living together as supernatural creatures, and the way that that works and the way that that doesn't work. So far I have like 3 pieces. I have I have a piece of the ostensible main character, the owner of the house, right? Who has one of the other people living in the house is a sphinx, and therefore sometimes gets stuck in riddle loops, because that's the thing that sphinxes do, right? And so I have this whole piece of it. And then I also have like the, again, owner of the house going on a date with somebody else, and how that works and doesn't work, and like their both of their past experiences with dating other monsters and things like that, and like a little glimpse into the wider monster worldscape that I have created for this house story. And then I have a third one, which is when somebody brings somebody home. You know, like these are the different pieces I have, and all of them do interconnect. But really the thing that threads through all of them more than anything is there is this house, there are these people, and they are in a relationship. These are the 3 pieces that kind of matter, and the rest of it's really up for like whatever I feel like. Do I want to send them on a good date? Do I want to send them on a bad date? Have they had a bad day at work? Is it date night? Does something go wrong? Is there a problem with the house? Is there a tension between 2 people in the house? Does somebody never do their heckin' washing up? What is going on? Don't jump on that. Do not jump on that. Thank you. Pets, man. Anyway. So I said do not jump on that. Thank you. So, when it comes to sharing it, that is where the question really lies, because I can write as much as I want of anything I want. I can do what I want. And I can, like I said, I can write as much as I want of anything that I want. And if I just want to spend some amount of months writing Monster House, that's my business, right? That's my business. That's my choice. And it's not really like, it's not really anybody else's. I don't know. Like, I don't want to be that, like, it's not really anybody else's business, because like it is literally my business. I sell these things. But it's also like I can spend my time in whatever stories I want, however I want to, right? And then I get to decide what to do with that, because it's my business and I can do what I want. But I'm also like, I'm so excited at the prospect of sharing this thing. And I don't know how to do that. And also if people would be interested in something that isn't a novel necessarily. Like, in theory, I could thread all of these stories together and make one really like cohesive, coherent narrative. Here is point A and here is point Z, you know? But like, it's not the vibe of the story. The vibe of the story, the feeling that it gives me as a writer is all of these different pieces and like getting these glimpses into the, do you mind? Getting glimpses into their lives, and that's what's exciting about it. So I guess for once, I'm asking for advice. How would one go about sharing that? And is it something that any of you would be interested in reading? And where? And like, do I just make it like an email situation? Like, do you sign up to an email list and I email it to you once a month or whatever? I don't know. And obviously it's not going to happen for a while. I only have 3 pieces so far. But like, if that is something, like, I don't think I'm going to stop writing this because I'm really enjoying myself. And I'm also very good at not stopping writing things. So let me know. And that's it. I'm really excited. I love all of the characters I've built for this thing. Could you stop? Sorry, I've got a cat on Minnie. I love all the characters I've built for this thing. They're all really like intricately designed. I've no idea what any of them look like. But they're all very intricately designed as like monsters, and how that interacts with any potential like human aspect of them and how that makes them interact with other people. And like, I love where I've put the tension points in this household, because we've got like some like really free-spirited ones, some really steadfast ones, and like there's just this one person who owns the house in the middle of it all being kind of there like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, because they're constantly being pulled into the very center of all of these arguments because, well, technically speaking, it's their house. It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun time, I promise. It's not like I'm saying if it was a book, it would be a romance, but as the short stories, I don't think it is the other part of it. Like, it's not a romance, but it's sort of the thing of, is it a romance with fantasy or is it a fantasy with romance? And like, therein lies the difference. If it was a book, like singular narrative, I think it would count as a romance in the fantasy romance genre, fantasy romance genre. So it's romance first and then fantasy subcategory. Whereas with the short stories, I think it's a fantasy first and a romance subcategory. Although, to be honest, those two things really do interweave quite closely most of the time. I did talk about how to categorize romance in a video earlier this year. So if you're interested in that, obviously you can go check that out. And like I said, all of the links to find me and my books are in the description box below, right next to like and subscribe buttons if you feel like sticking around. Please do give me any advice you have. I would be open to all of it. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Wait, I also have an announcement I haven't said here yet. I am officially also going to MCM Comic Con. I've said it on other platforms and in other places, but here we go. I'm officially going to MCM Comic Con. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. In May, I will have a table in Writer's Block number 7, table number 7, in Writer's Block. So if you are going to MCM in May in London, or if you could go to MCM May in London, I will be there if you would be interested in picking up any of my books or just coming over to say hi. I have currently one cosplay plan, and it was requested and I am doing it, which is a cosplay I have technically done before, but now I'm making improvements because it's actually been requested, which is Blue from Welcome to Humanity, although with my ginger hair, which Blue does not have because this is my hair. And so that's going to be one of my cosplays for one of the days, and I am open to requests for other cosplays, whether it's from my books or otherwise, but I do like cosplaying from my own book, so I can be there like, I'm a character from this one when people ask me about my books on the table. Although I did also dress, when I was there in October, I dressed as Matter for a day, so I did the jumpsuit and the space buns, again with my ginger hair because this is the hair that I have. And what happened was I kept getting mistaken for Kaylee from Firefly, so that's always a risk. Anyway, I will see you in 2 weeks' time. I actually have nothing else to say now. Bye.